Hello everybody. They say that the first step to getting help is admitting that you have a problem. Now I'm not sure whether I want help, but I do need to admit that I have a problem. I had a Ferrari problem and now I have an Aston Martin problem. No, not my DB9, formerly of Ben from Dad Cars. That has now been delivered to its new owner, Cal, who is currently, I hope, enjoying it north of the border. Nor am I referring to my recently acquired DBS of Casino Royale fame. I haven't actually seen or heard from that car in a month or so. Bamford Rose are currently working on it, going through my long list of niggles, and hopefully they'll come back to me soon and tell me that I haven't bought a pup. What I'm talking about instead is my other Aston Martin. Yes, as Yoda once said, there is another. And though at first glance, even from my camera down there, you're probably looking at this thinking, James, this doesn't look really any different to just about any other Aston Martin I've ever seen, including your DB9. What exactly is different about this one? Well, allow me to give you a clue. And let me give you one more clue. Yep, that's right. Welcome to my new, to me, 2008 Aston Martin V8 Vantage N400 Roadster. But what exactly is it, and why have I bought it? That, of course, is the subject for today's video. If you are a regular viewer to this channel, then yes, you do recognise this car. It is the very same one that I reviewed only a few months ago, formerly of the lovely Zolf, who also has the gorgeous Le Mans Blue Ferrari F355 that I am constantly coveting. And its arrival in my fleet was genuinely a happy accident. Now, I told the story exactly how it happened in the review video. I had sold, or at least agreed the sale of the DB9, which hadn't taken anywhere near as long as I thought, and during that process, a lot of people messaged me and said, James, I really want to buy an Aston. I'm worried about the many potential pitfalls, I'm unfamiliar with the brand, and I'd love to buy your DB9 because I know it, I've seen it on the channel, and I know that it's had everything sorted. But there were a few of you who said that, but finished with, and I wish it was a V8 Vantage, because that's the car that I really wanted to buy. So, with an eye on trying to not necessarily downsize the fleet, but on not expanding it, when it came to looking at replacements for the DB9, I wanted to make sure that I bought something which was lower in terms of overall value. And having had so many of you message to say you'd love to buy a V8 Vantage from me, I thought that would be the obvious thing to get. This was, after all, the most popular car of the V8 era of Aston, and this particular example I thought would be an excellent car to buy for a few different reasons. First off, the N400 is a very interesting car. It's based on the early pre-facelift 4.3 litre Vantage, which means that it's not quite as expensive as the later 4.7s, the S's, and certainly the V12s. This makes it more accessible, and this means that come sale time, it's going to be a little easier to move on. And this was important to me. But it's also a car that I think people have kind of forgotten. When it came out, the M400 was the one that everybody said you should buy. It was a little sharper, but at no real cost in terms of comfort than the regular car, had a little bit more power, slightly more updated styling, which many of the later models then mimicked, and overall it is a lovely thing, and came at a relatively small uplift in terms of price over the regular car. Today it has been somewhat forgotten because the 4.7's got a little bit cheaper, but I think it's still an excellent halfway house between a regular 4.3 and the 4.7. Particularly if you can get your hands on one such as this, which has already had many of the very desirable Bamford Rose upgrades applied, including their sports manifold, sports cat, uprated flywheel and clutch, meaning this is a little better performing, but also easier to drive than the regular car would be. Now, I'm not a massive fan of the exhaust, which is switchable and in regular mode is maybe a bit too quiet, but in valve open mode is just far, far too loud. And that might be something that I try and get fixed before I do eventually sell the car. But perhaps most importantly, and this really is key when buying something like this, the owner was somebody that I knew and knew to be trustworthy. He'd kept oodles of records for his 12 years of ownership of the car, having picked it up when it was about 3 years old between him and his business partner, and they'd used it for trips away, days out, all sorts of stuff over the last decade and a bit, taking the mileage up to just over 50,000. When they got it, it was only on just over 3, so it had covered basically 1,000 miles a year, and that's a travesty. But the one bit of the car that I never really expected to fall in love with was this bit, the roadster element. And that's because, though I've nothing particularly against an Aston Martin convertible, well, they lose the shape of the regular car, don't they? They don't have that beautiful side profile that all of the modern VH cars do. However, roof down, it is a spectacular thing. This N400 is also in a lightning silver, and though I do have a general disdain for silver, black and grey Aston Martins, the only colours I've ever owned them in, it's a sensational shade, and in the flesh it looks brilliant. Got a little blue tint to it, a la BMW's Silverstone blue from a few years ago, if you're thinking of E92 M3, that kind of shade. Inside, the M400 is mostly business as usual, although I swear this leather is nicer than that in the regular cars. The N400 also have this machine-turned fascia up here, and a little stitched version of the Nürburgring between the seats down here, which is nice, though ultimately a little bit daft. Anyway, that's not really important. What is that this is a cracking car, and I did have an ulterior motive. You see, the S2000 is still off the road. I know a lot of you are asking for an update, and we are that close to having one, but I want to wait. I want to give you a proper update on it. And when I've got that, you're going to have it. But that's still going to be a few months away from being completed. I know as soon as I get it back, there will be a whole bunch of other things that I've forgotten needed doing, and so I'm not going to rush that. As the sun does on occasion rear its head around this time of the year, I did want a convertible to be able to drive around, and I will admit I'd kind of forgotten that my other half does have a Boxster, which will also have a nice chunky update coming soon. But the main thing that motivated me to get this car is the fact that for a while now I have had a trip planned, which in real time is happening in 48 hours, and by the time you see this will have already happened, where I need to head over to Austria for about 2 weeks. This involves a road trip both through and then back via Germany. And I love Germany and Austria. And while I'm down there, I'm going to have a fair bit of spare time, with not really all that much to do other than to go out and explore the local roads. So I decided to rope my good buddy Anthony into coming down with me, and of course I wanted to have a car that was suitable for the journey. And what better way to get around the middle of Europe in summer than a convertible Aston Martin? This is going to be an absolute delight. I cannot wait to get out there. And though this is obviously the first time you're actually seeing the car on the channel, it isn't new to me. I've actually had it for about 2 months now, and I have fallen for this thing. It's brilliant. I love it. Pop the roof down when appropriate, open up that valve, have a little bit of fun, but you know what, I don't do that for that long. So you just close it and enjoy being in an Aston Martin, but with the wind in your hair. This is wonderful. Unfortunately, the plans that I had for next year are now plans that I have for this year. So both this and the DBS have to go. Now the DBS, there's various things still going on with that, it's not quite ready. This is going to require far less to get it ready for sale, and so once I've come back from Europe, it will be going up. I'll do a video at that time featuring hopefully some lovely photographs and whatnot from the trip. I'm not taking my full filming kit because it is, believe it or not, a holiday that I want to enjoy. And so if you're in the market for a car like this, or this sounds like the sort of thing you'd be into, it's going to be available from, I would think, August probably onwards. So if you want to get first dibs, drop me a line. But that really is about all I have to say for now. It's a quick little update on the fleet. And as ever, I want to say a big thanks to all of you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.